Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to react as white if black tries to defend the gambit pawn on c4 in the queen's gambit accepted. Now first of all, it's important to realize that despite its name, the queen's gambit is not truly a gambit. If you don't know, a gambit is a special type of opening where either white or black sacrifices a pawn or sometimes more material in order to gain a positional advantage. However, in the queen's gambit, white is not truly sacrificing a pawn, even if it looks like it. Queen's gambit starts with d4, d5, and c4. Now it looks like this is a free pawn. In fact, taking the pawn is a perfectly fine move. However, after e3, according to theory, black is supposed to go knight f6 and to not defend the pawn. Now the reason for this is white didn't really sacrifice the pawn. Because if black tries to defend, it is actually impossible to hold onto the pawn and not have it captured. Now I'm going to be going through all of the lines that you need to know as white if you're playing the queen's gambit in order to not lose a pawn. Now, first off, there's two moves you're going to see that black is going to try and play to try and hold on to this pawn. There's actually only two moves right now that even defend the pawn at all. There's b5. This is going to be the most common move you're going to see, especially at low elos. And then there's also bishop e6. Now in the case of bishop e6, we're just going to go knight d2. And now the only move to defend, and by the way, this is a double attack on the pawn. The move e3 was revealing an attack from the bishop. The only way now to further defend is b5. And now, from now on, all of the moves are going to be identical to the b5 variations, just with the knight on d2 and bishop on e6. So just refer to the b5 lines in order to know what to play next. So we're going to look at b5 now. Now in b5 we're going to play a4. First of all, the idea is it's of course attacking the defender of c4 so we can capture with the bishop. And if black takes, we take back with the queen, which forks the king and the pawn. And this just wins the pawn back really quick. If black blocks with the knight or the queen, we're going to want to take with the bishop, just because we're going to get the bishop developed. However, if black blocks with the bishop, which is more likely, we're going to have to take with the queen in order to not lose our queen. Now, so because of that, black's going to want to defend the pawn somehow instead of capturing here. And there's a few ways black can do this. First of all, probably the worst one is queen d4, or sorry, queen d5, because we can just go right here, and there's a double attack on the queen and the pawn. Queen can't go here, you know, queen has to go here, and now we just take. I'm taking here on the next turn, and black is just pretty screwed here. I mean, there's really not much they can do. But there's a few other ways black can try and defend. There's mainly a6, there's c6, there's bishop d7, and there's queen d7, all of which are putting defense on this pawn, which is defending this pawn. Now, all of these moves inadequately defend. Again, there is no way for black to defend the pawn ultimately. So let's take a look at the first one, a6. a6 actually does nothing to put defense on b5, because we can just take. And if black takes back, we take the rook. Take the rook. So a lot of people, especially at low elos, aren't going to notice that. And I've had several games where they've played this and they just completely hung the rook. So black can also play c6. Now c6 also does nothing to defend the pawn, because we can just take again. And if they take, we have queen f3, and this traps the rook. And black's best move here is actually to sacrifice the knight to open up the defense on the rook. But now we're still just up a knight, and it should be very easy to win this game. And then the slightly more complicated variations are the bishop or queen to d7. Now bishop to d7 looks kind of scary maybe, but because you know the idea is after you capture back, this is defending. However, it's not actually defending, because we can just take, right? After bishop takes, queen a4, forking the king and the bishop. and black can do nothing to defend. Either queen here or knight here, either one, you get the bishop back, and you have a very good position, and it's even material. Now, the final way for black to try and defend is queen d7. Queen d7, again, we capture on b5. And then, similar to the bishop e6 variation, we're going to go to knight d2. And now the only way to defend the c4 pawn is actually go to bishop e6. But, as you might have noticed, this pawn is pinned to this queen. This pawn can't move at all. So we can just go to b3 to attack the pawn again. This attacks the pawn. Pawn can't capture back. Because it's pinned. You would just take the queen. And there's no other way to defend c4, and you're going to be able to capture it back on the next turn. So, again, the queen's gambit accepted is actually considered reliable, right? Like I said, if black plays knight f6, this is a completely reliable line. I mean, it is still considered worse than declining. However, it is still fully reliable, and if you want to learn queen's gambit accepted and play that, you totally can. That's completely okay. It's just defending the pawn here is really only something you're going to see from low elo players, and actually the queen's gambit is a very great way to catch low elo players off guard without like over relying on a trap or something, because there's plenty of traps you can play and to kind of beat up on low elo players because they won't know what to do. But you know, that won't actually make you better. You know, it's not a good opening later on as you get into higher elos, but the queen's gambit is a very, very solid opening overall, and it's good to get comfortable with a good opening, and also it'll help you beat a lot of low elo players if you're stuck in low elo. So thank you for watching this video, everyone. I hope you have good luck in all of your future games, and I will see you next time.